Denmark, there are rules and regulations you should be familiar with before going on a fishing trip. And there are also some unwritten rules for good conduct. The law states that everybody between 18 and 65 years old must buy a fishing license. And this is whether you want to fish in fresh or salt water. This applies everywhere except in put-and-take lakes. You can order a fishing license on the website etiquette.dk, and the proceeds from the sale of fishing licenses go to the care and maintenance of fishing waters and stocking of fish. Some species of fish can be fished year-round, while others are protected during specific periods to ensure that the fish can spawn without being disturbed. Trout, for example, are protected in freshwater from the 16th of November to the 15th of January, and the colored trout on the coast are also protected during this period. Pike are protected all through April and in brackish water from April 1st until the 15th of May. There are also conservation zones on the open coasts and in the fjords at the mouths of rivers. This is to ensure that sea trout, perch, and pike have unobstructed access to the spawning rivers. For most of the larger rivers, the protected area prohibits fishing closer than 500 meters from the mouth of the river. Before you decide to take a fish home, you should be sure that your fish exceeds the minimum length. Some species have no minimum length, while others have one. Sea trout, for example, have a minimum length of 40 centimeters. Many sport fishermen still like to release fish that are above the minimum length. You can find the exact rules for minimum lengths for different species on fishingsealand.dk. There are also some unwritten rules in Denmark. As a sport fisherman, you should always be protective of the natural environment and show respect for other sport fishermen you meet while you are fishing. Bringing home a fish, preparing it, and enjoying your meal plays a big part in the pleasure many gain from sport fishing, and there's absolutely nothing unnatural about this. Fish are healthy and taste heavenly. In Denmark, there are no official rules for the maximum number of fish you can take home, but you are expected to adhere to the rules there are, show restraint, and not take home more than you can eat yourself or have room for in your freezer. When you release a fish, you should do it as gently as possible. Fish are living creatures that have a right to be treated properly and with respect. Already during the fight, you should ask yourself whether you want to keep the fish, that is, if it has the minimum length. If you decide to keep it, you should kill it as quickly as possible after landing it. If you are going to release the fish, be sure that it is out of the water as little as possible. Take the hook out carefully and try not to touch the fish more than absolutely necessary. Outside the conservation periods, you are permitted to take home colored sea trout and sea trouts that are post-spawners. But this is a hot topic among sports fishermen, since these fish often are poor table fish. It would be more beneficial to release them, and many feel that only silver fish should be kept. But here it is totally up to the individual fisherman to decide whether the fish should be kept or not. In the end, a sea trout that has been taken home is a fish that has been removed from the total population, no matter whether it's shiny silver, colored, or has spawned. As a sport fisherman, you have to decide for yourself, and as in many other areas, it is a good idea to use common sense and to keep your fishing as sustainable as possible. It goes without saying that sports fishermen clean up after themselves and take all their garbage and like with them when they leave. We must all make a joint effort to take care of nature, our waters, and our common interest. You should also be considerate of other fishermen around you. On harbor rocks or in a put-and-take lake, you can usually fish relatively close together without disturbing other fishermen. But most fishermen would like to have a lot of space around them when they're fishing from the coast. As a general rule, it's a good idea to keep at least a casting distance away from other fishermen on the coast, if at all possible. You can also have a chat with a nearby fisherman to check if it's okay to fish relatively close. At the same time, you might also get some useful advice on fishing in the area. It is a welcome behavior to have an open attitude toward other fishermen. You may be able to help less experienced fishermen or foreigners with good advice on fishing in that particular area, and maybe also give them a greater understanding of sustainable sport fishing and the way we do things in Denmark. On the website fishingsealand.dk, you can find more information on sustainable sport fishing and conservation periods, minimum length requirements, as well as other useful links and information. Tight lines out there.